Hey gang, back with another video for you today, and I thought today let's do a comparison video of Chanel's Lion with Gucci's Tiger. Both of them are amber fragrances. Now some of you were complaining that I left off this very important fragrance in my amber fragrances video when I launched that like a month and a half ago. But you know what, I've been meaning to do a comparison of these two fragrances, especially since Chanel launched an amber fragrance a year or so after Gucci launched an amber fragrance. Both are named after animals, obviously, lion here and tiger here. But how do they compare? Well, I'll let you know all about them coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. Yes, I'm comparing these two fragrances today. You know, both of them are amber, Oriental fragrances, very ambery. They go in different directions. Gucci's came a year prior to Chanel's. Chanel's came as an exclusive to the Middle East, and then it was launched everywhere almost 2 years after this. But as I said, it was launched a year after this. Both of them, as I said, Oriental amber fragrances. They're different, directions, but the root focus of the fragrances are ambers. So I thought it would be great to do a comparison, especially since, as I said, lion, tiger, very closely related animals. But before I talk about the fragrances, if this is your first time tuning into my channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click the subscribe button below and also click the bell so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. And if you notice, I have a new background. I'm sort of slowly moving into my new studio, and you'll see some background changes, and you'll also see some videos go back to the other background and then back to this new background. I do bank videos here and there, and then I air them along the way, so up until all those videos are gone, you'll see some back and forth with background changes. But yes, I'm almost moved into this new space, and soon you'll also see a collection video once everything is organized and I get some new shelves to put up my entire collection. But let's get started with these two fragrances. So this is we'll start with this one first because this came first. This is The Eyes of the Tiger, very close to the name of that very, very popular song that was the theme song for Rocky. The Eyes of the Tiger was a 2019 launch, and then, as I said, a year later came Le Lion. But one of these I prefer a lot more than the other. Can you guess which one I prefer? Which one have I spoken a lot about? Which one was featured in my best of a certain year video? You've been watching me, you know what I'm talking about. But Gucci's The Eyes of the Tiger is considered an Oriental. Again, they're both very ambery fragrances. That's the basic style. This is created by Alberto Morillas. 100 ml bottle for $330, which turns out to be $359 per milliliter. Very, very highly priced. Notes are amber, vanilla, labdanum. And for me, this one is basically very similar to other amber fragrances. So it didn't give me anything new. Even though the fragrance smells great, I enjoy what I'm smelling, it didn't take it into a new direction, which kind of like if you have amber fragrances that all kind of start smelling the same, why bother get this one, you know? That's the only thing I could say about this, that if you already own a bunch, you probably do not need this one, except for the fact that you might enjoy the beautiful bottle. But I think this collection overall, I think, is overpriced personally as a collection. If you compare it to a collection like Louis Vuitton's fragrances, those are also kind of pricey collection of fragrances. It's just they're not as highly priced or overly priced. These are $330 per bottle for 100 ml. The Louis Vuittons are about $260 currently in the regular lineup. The darker bottles are higher priced. And of course, those are refillable, whereas these are not. So once you empty your bottle out, you can take it back to a Louis Vuitton, store, and they'll refill it for you for a much less price. So I just think this collection is overpriced in general. But I enjoy this amber. It's a great vanillic amber, and it goes into a very powdery direction. But you know, it wears very, very spicy. There are spicy elements coming through, and I believe it's all from the labdanum in conjunction with the vanilla. The labdanum is smoky, but here I don't get much smokiness, very, very lightly, if at all. But definitely get the spiciness from the labdanum. but it's ultra sweet. On me, it develops into a sweeter fragrance. It sweetens up on me. A lot of fragrances do sweeten up on me, and I like that about some fragrance. Well, a lot of fragrances, because I enjoy sweet fragrances. So this does open up and become sweeter on me. But along the way, it does also get very, very powdery. So this is an overly powdery amber experience, and I don't mind powdery fragrances. I love these Oriental styles of fragrances. Now, in comparison to this, and I'm going to get to this in a minute, this has fragrances it reminds me of, whereas this, in general, it just reminds me of other amber fragrances. So it didn't, for example, with this one, I kind of get like hints of Shalimar. I kind of get hints of Coromandel from this house. Kind of get hints of the smokiness, the leather from their Cœur de Russie. Whereas this one, it doesn't really hint at any specific fragrance. It just hints at other ambers, basically. But also with this one, there is a very clean undertone here. There's some light soapiness that comes in with this one that I quite like. I also feel like there's patchouli in the notes that's not listed. So in the end, it's a winner fragrance. It's just an overly priced collection of fragrances that, as I said at the beginning, if you already have something like this and you don't need this bottle, you probably do not need the fragrance in general. But I quite enjoy it as a fragrance on its own, and the more I wear it, the more I enjoy it. But one of these is my favorite. Can you guess again, as I said? Now, Chanel's Le Lion is a 2020 launch, considered an Oriental fragrance once again, Oriental Amber. The perfumer is the in-house perfumer Olivier Polge for Chanel. Alberto Morillas for Gucci has been doing most or all of the latest Gucci fragrances. Here, they have an in-house perfumer that constantly cranks out fragrances for them. I don't think Gucci has an in-house perfumer, but maybe most likely Alberto Morillas is. But this one features notes of Labdanum, amber, patchouli, vanilla, sandalwood, musk, lemon, and bergamot. This, to me, was one of my favorite releases of 2020. I've never ranked this one in anything, and I also left it off of my amber fragrances video. It didn't make the list. I like it for what it is, but I have plenty of fragrances like that. But this one, for me, does have those hints of Shalimar when you first spray it. As soon as you spray it, I'm picking up hints of Shalimar. It's there, but Shalimar goes in a different direction, this goes in a different direction. It just hints at it for a little bit. Then when I'm wearing it, it also reminds me a little bit of Coromandel. I've also spoken to some people, it does remind them of Coromandel as well. But it doesn't last. But in here, they also credit the patchouli, whereas here I was getting patchouli as well. But this one, the patchouli, is reminding me of Coromandel, as Coromandel is known for the patchouli. Now, as a fragrance is drying down, this one actually becomes sweet and smoky. So it does sweeten up, it does get powdery. Both of them are powdery fragrances. I feel like this is a little more powdery than this one, but both of them do have the powderiness. But this one definitely gets smoky on me and leathery, and that's when it starts reminding me of Cœur de Russie. That is definitely something else. So it almost feels like Olivier Polge borrowed from multiple fragrances to create this, and perfumers do that in general. And I have smelled fragrances like this as well, but not definitely exactly like this. So there are other amber fragrances that might be smoky, going into a resinous smoky direction. There might be some that goes into a patchouli direction. But this one kind of does all of those, which I quite like and enjoy. One other thing I forgot to mention about this one, there is a lemony touch. That lemony citrus touch is prominent, but it fades away when you're in that kind of dry down mode of this fragrance, when it's starting to get smoky and leathery. Now the smoky and the leathery part, it lingers on. It lingers on quite a bit. And around this time also, I've heard complaints from people, which I kind of like. It's the animalic part of this fragrance, inspired by lion, obviously. It's an animal. So this does get animalic, whereas this one absolutely does not get animalic. But I think the animalic parts are coming from that whole leathery experience, because leathers tend to go animalic. It's an animal's skin, obviously. So overall, I quite enjoy this particular fragrance a lot. It's just a great wearing experience. It's very, very long lasting. It's a lot more complex than the Eyes of the Tiger, whereas I find the entire collection from the Gucci Alchemist's Garden very simplistic. The Rose is probably one of my favorites in that collection. This is a great fragrance, don't get me wrong, I don't hate it, but a lot of the fragrances act very simplistic, whereas they're not complex with all kinds of different notes. Whereas this one, to me, is a lot more complex, and I like the adventure it takes me on, and it, you know, the reminders I'm reminded of different fragrances. I like that about it. Whereas this one, you know, it reminds me of just your, you know, everyday amber fragrance. It doesn't take me on a journey, whereas this one really does take me on a journey. And sometimes I like those kind of fragrances. If along the way in that journey I'm enjoying what I'm smelling, then I really love this journey. Whereas this one sometimes becomes an afterthought, because sometimes when you have fragrances that remind you of one another, the next one you really love, you buy, because it's reminding you of other fragrances, you might forget about it and put it in the back of the shelf. Whereas something like this becomes a little more unique, and the adventure is, the ride is so great that you keep wanting to wear over and over. So that's my comparison of these two fragrances. It's sad because both of them are very ferocious animals. This is more of like a gentle tiger, a soft tiger, not a ferocious tiger, whereas this is like a ferocious, really, really animalic, you know, big lion, like a huge, very, very violent and aggressive lion. So I like that about this one. I really do. And again, it's one of my favorite fragrances of 2020, and I just keep wearing it. You know, here, look at this. This is all I've worn, and with all my fragrances, I really, really am attracted to this fragrance, and I love its potency, its aggressiveness, its loudness, and the sweet ambery Oriental touches. One of the best, as I said. So I don't know if you guys have compared these two fragrances, both from big fashion houses, focusing on, you know, big cats and ambers. Obviously they're both Oriental amber fragrances. Which one is your favorite if you've compared the two? Now, as I said, I have heard complaints about this one, that it does get too smoky or too animalic, but some of you do enjoy it as well. But have you ever compared this one? Have you tested it out? If you're looking for a sweet, powdery, vanillic amber, this should satisfy. And as I said again, the collection from the Alchemist's Garden don't seem overly complex. And with the fact that I'm paying so much more for fragrances from this collection, I should get complex fragrances, right? The other thing I forgot to mention is here, it's a 200 ml bottle, it's $3.50, so it's $1.90 per ml, whereas this one, it's 100 ml for $3.30, and I'm paying $3.59 per ml. So the price difference is so different for what you get. And if you're on a budget and you're looking for fragrances and you want to, you know, an experience of wearing something a little more adventurous, would you go for the $3.30 at 100 ml, or would you go for the 200 ml at the $3.50? Let me know. Put some comments down so I can find out. Either way, those are my thoughts on these two fragrances. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Do let me know which is your favorite of these two ambers. You might like both of them, you know, I don't know, but I'd like to find out what you guys think of these two fragrances. Other than that, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, as I said, please list below. Please like this video, please share it, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.